On a hot Texas evening, it's about time to go racing touring car style with TC America, powered by Skip Barber, making its annual trek to the Circuit of the Americas in Austin, Texas. Hello, my name's Ryan Marine. Calvin Fish is alongside. Amanda Busick will be patrolling the pit lane for us as we get the weekend underway. First SRO America race of the weekend across the multiple classes, and it is the touring car set to go first on a hot afternoon. You can see it, track temperatures already up to 114 degrees, 89.5 degrees in the air, Calvin. That will affect these cars because of all the cars racing here at COTA this weekend, these are the closest to their road-going counterparts.
Yeah, essentially just production-based cars that are put into racing trim. So if you get over those thresholds, certainly there's some safety nets that kick in with the ancillaries on those race cars. We'll have to see if we can stay below that number, but certainly very toasty here. It's really ramped up. We had a lot of rain earlier in the week, so that washed off the racetrack, but the practice sessions and test sessions over the last couple of days have got this Pirelli rubber down, so there should be good grip. There's a great racetrack for touring cars here. You can go side by side through the majority of this race circuit, but there's certainly some challenges here as well.
We'll talk quite a bit about the track as we go throughout the show, but how about some of the stars in this series? Braden Arthur, really impressive at Sonoma. We knew him from Pirelli GT4 America, but he steps into the touring cars with JMF Motorsport, a win and a second-place result. He backs that up with pole position here by half a second, Cal.
Yeah, that's a big margin to have here, and I spoke to him earlier this afternoon after that qualifying run. He sounds pretty confident, but he said there's a real ebb and flow to where these different manufacturers develop their speed around this circuit of the Americas racetrack. So he said, I'm not really sure how we stack up, where we have the advantage. Obviously, the lap time was good, but expect some big challenges, particularly for Andre Castro, who had that win in race number 2 at Sonoma. He sits on row 2, but that Hyundai driver is certainly looking to add into the win column here again this weekend.
Just a few of the drivers to keep an eye on here in race 1 of the weekend today. Mentioned earlier the third member of the team, Amanda, down patrolling the pits for us. Let's head there for the first time.
Hey guys, yeah, just a couple updates for me down here. Of our 12 competitors here this weekend, you will see 11 cars on track at present. You'll see that open slot there in the back. That would have been for Jesse Dorkin, who would have been in that JMF entry. I'm told that we're missing an engine that is on the way, but we will see him for race number 2. Of our 12 competitors here this weekend, 10 of them we saw in Sonoma, but we do have 2 returning guys back to the series. One being CJ Sepulveda, who jumped on the scene at Sonoma last year. He would go on and win that Hyundai Trophy Cup. He just got back from the Nürburgring. We're going to talk to him about that, but what an experience. We were just talking about a difference that a year can make, and if you're familiar with our TC America class, we know this guy, and we love to see him back. PJ Gronkley, we did miss you at Sonoma, but I was looking at that entry list. Did I count 16 sponsors that you put on the entry list this weekend?
Yeah, pretty much as many as I could, and I can't thank them enough for getting me out here. I missed you guys at Sonoma too, and it's so great to be back, and we're going to move forward in this race.
Enjoy it, PJ. Well, guys, that's what I have for you down here. I'm excited to get this one started for race number 1 at the Circuit of the Americas.
And I hope you took notice of his helmet, because that is supposed to look like Tom Cruise's helmet from Top Gun. The Maverick helmet, but instead of Maverick, it just says PJ up there. And
he needs to be Iceman this afternoon in this
That's
team.
very true. Comes from the north up in Canada, so these temperatures not necessarily what he's used to back home, but PJ always loves coming down to Texas to go racing, and the paddock feels more complete with him here.
Absolutely. He's been a backbone of our championships over the years. Some debate about whether we'll see him around for the 2027 season, but either way, great to see him on the grid once again.
Certainly so. We talked about this track and the challenges that it presents. This is the home of Formula One in the United States. Yes, now we have Grand Prix in Miami and Las Vegas, but this track was built for purpose to host the U.S. Grand Prix. That said, it's become a home for sports car and touring car racing, too, over the years. And in these low-displacement touring cars, Cal, they put on a good races here in years past.
They really have. You can really go side by side, as we mentioned, through the majority of this racetrack. Massive elevation change on that climb from turn 20 up to turn 1, just over half a mile sprint up that hill, 11% grade, and then it flows down through the elevation change, 133 feet in total around this racetrack. Some big tire penalty. You see that once we get into these race conditions here this afternoon through the S's, drivers have to be careful of those.
Engines are fired down on the grid, and for the first time this weekend, we're about to turn the cars loose for some racing action here at COTA. Back to the front row. Talked a little bit about the Braden Arthur story earlier. New purple colors for him and the JMF team this weekend. They've got some added support from Cielo Vision, a big series partner. That was a relationship that got kicked off in the season opener at Sonoma, and I'll tell you what, if nothing else, I'm glad we've got two different liveries on the two Corollas when we have both of them racing looking ahead to tomorrow.
I like purple right on our timing screens. That means you're fast.
That's
so,
right.
Braden Arthur was certainly fast in qualifying. See if he can pull through for another win, his second on the year.
Strong qualifying effort as well for Dean Lambrose, who starts alongside. That's the Skip Barber racing team. That's one of the Acura Integras that's here on this grid, and they've really started to unlock a little pace out of that car, it seems like, back half of last year and carrying over into this year.
Absolutely. Great to see three different manufacturers represented in the first three slots on the grid, so it was anyone's game here this weekend.
Here's how they'll line up for the first race of the weekend, third race of the season. The Canadian Braden Arthur on pole with Dean Lambrose, who we were talking about a moment ago, for company on the front row of the grid. Then it's Andre Castro, so strong in the opening weekend at Sonoma. Justin Gravick, qualifying effort for him from the Rick Autosport camp. Then it's Mike Lamara. Precision Racing LA is the team. Starting alongside will be Eric Coons, then Logan Anderson, CJ Sepulveda, talked about him a little bit earlier, PJ Gronke and Shelby Mills. While Robert Bellevue will start out back, and the only BMW in the field. And as Amanda chronicled, unfortunately, Jesse Dorkin, an engine issue in testing. They're working on sourcing a replacement for that Corolla to have him in the race, in race number 2. But a young driver in need of experience, and really frustrating to have to sit this one out.
Yeah, saw him earlier when I was talking to Braden this afternoon. He's disappointed, but he's took it on the chin. The car sits there ready to go. They're just waiting for the engine to arrive at the circuit. They'll bolt that in, and hopefully they'll see some green flag action tomorrow.
That's another car that is going from strength to strength. Last year, it started in the wet conditions. It's a four-wheel drive car, which sets it apart from the rest of the class. But by the end of the season, and certainly at Sonoma, it wasn't a one-trick pony anymore.
No, that was for sure. They went on a tear at the end of the year with that Toyota, so certainly come out the box strong, won the opening round of the 2026 season, but they got some challenges from other manufacturers this year.
It is a longer race in 2026 than we saw last year, an additional 10 minutes. Tire conservation was part of the equation at Sonoma. More of the same here at COTA?
I think so. I think particularly with this heat, it's really going to make the tires slide around a little bit, so it's got to be managed, certainly.
That's Marty Clark, guest of Cielo Vision, who gets the privilege of waving the green flag to get this race underway, and it's the Cielo Vision car that starts on the pole position. Purple and white machine from JMF Motorsports. Alongside is Dean Lambrose from the Skip Barber Racing School. Toyota and Acura sharing the front row. Then to the next row of the grid, and it's the Ricca Autosport Armada, led by Andre Castro and Justin Gravitt. Starting third and fourth, Mike Lamara and Eric Coons. They're back in the third row of the grid, Acura and Hyundai respectively. Here's the field out of the final corner. Remember, it's a different start line than where we finished the race. Field in alignment, maybe starting to form that V. Race control won't like to see that. They want you to stay in your column. As Marty waves the green flag, we're underway. 35 minutes already ticking down, and it's a drag race up the hill to turn number 1. Arthur slamming on the brakes. The front of that car plummeting down to the ground. Runs the Acura out wide, up and over the curbing. They're still side by side in the run down the hill.
And Lambrose gets it. He gets inside for the next corner, turn 2 there. So he ran the cushion around the outside, made it stick. Braden Arthur gave him some racing room. They're those big bundles of tires that you see, those big stacks. They're taller than the race cars, so it's hard to get your sight line through the S's like you normally would.
Single file through the front of the field. Oh, contact there. That was Coons putting the bumper to Mike Lamara. It might have dislodged the bumper on the Hyundai. Lamara, though, able to solidify that position. Runs 5th right now, but Coons breathing down his neck.
Good car control there by Mike. Tires are still not exactly where they need to be despite these extreme conditions after just one warm-up lap there. Braden Arthur looking to the inside, down in that heavy brake zone. Turn 11, you can go 3 wide here. Gronke looking for a way through the pack.
Seeking to get by Shelby Mills. Looked like he was close to getting alongside, but Mills slammed the door shut, forces him out wide up and over the curbs, and lost some momentum. Might leave him vulnerable now in the fight with Logan Anderson, Skip Barber Racing teammate to the race leader. Side by side further back in the pack and side by side for the lead.
Arthur thought he might have some advantages down that long back straightaway. This is turn 12. This is the stadium section that we get into. Lambrose uses all of the road. He may say he's forced out there a little bit. That is one area of this racetrack, turn 12, 19, and 20, where they will call track limits. So side by side through the apex, he's going to say, I needed that room, otherwise I was going to get nerfed out. Oh, bold move there down the inside. That's Castro. He elbows his way through. He's up to P2.
Super late lunge. This section of the track opens up opportunities like that. Looked like Arthur was keeping it wide, trying to run his line, and that left an tantalizing opening to the inside, and Andre Castro needed no second invitation, just plunged up the inside and grabbed second spot away.
Yeah, turn 15 is one of those corners to get through there quickly, do that big wide entry, but he just opened the door and Castro just stuck it down the inside. Then you're in no man's land in terms of trying to defend that.
Kuhn still pressuring Lamara as the field comes around to complete the lap. It's Lambrose showing the way. Castro now up to second. Arthur on the back foot and coming under pressure. Here comes Gravett now in fourth place. That said, it looked like Arthur maybe was able to leg him a little bit down the straightaway. And how about Mike Lamara getting beat up from behind, but now he has tracked down Gravett in the fight for fourth and fifth.
Yeah, Mike's a feisty competitor. He's not going to be intimidated by that little bump and run there on the opening lap. Controlled it nicely. He's back in the pack. They're running in the top 5. Significance of Castro getting around Arthur. They were tied for the championship lead with a win and a runner-up at Sonoma, so that would give the championship lead live as we run here, but obviously a long way to go in this title chase.
Dean Lambrose has 3 podiums in 4 starts in the championship, but no wins. He's out in front right now, Amanda. Let's get more on his story.
Yeah, before they took off here for race number 1, I did talk to him about this qualifying here today. He got that P2 position, and he said they made some adjustments ahead of this race, so he told me turn 1 is mine, and sure did he do it. But I want to go with Dean on a story real quick. I'm sure you guys may have received the same thing, but Dean's been sending me emails about his season, and he called it a make it or break it season for himself. I just like the gumption, and I like the, this series, these guys, they're trying to make a name for themselves. We talked about CJ Sepulveda in the year that he had from last year to right now, but Dean Lambrose out there showing that he has what it has in this season.
Yeah, really fantastic effort from him. Finished 6th in the season opener, 3rd in race 2 at Sonoma, and he's a busy guy. He came up through the Skip Barber School, went to their Formula Car Series, finished runner-up in that championship back in 2024, but also has done some Legends racing, Spec Miata racing, even 602 Crate modified short track racing. He's done a little bit of everything.
Yeah, took a sabbatical from racing. He was a place quicker for Stony Brook University, then got injured and went back to racing. So his brother's obviously been on a grid in GR Cup recently. So racing family, but he's determined to make this season really happen and get some strong results. He's leading right now, but he's going to feel the pressure here. Castro really seems to have escaped Braden Arthur's attention. Now he's gapped him by about 1.5 seconds.
Certainly has. Arthur, who was comprehensively on pole position, 0.5 seconds to the good, as we talked about earlier in that qualifying session, not just losing the top 2 spots, but losing touch with the top 2 in this race, has a bit of breathing room. That's the Toyota center of the screen behind him. Battle breaking out as Mike Lamara takes a lunge up the inside. Justin Gravett forced to the outside. Will try and roll the speed around the outside, knowing the track comes back his way down the hill as the 2 make door-to-door contact.
Yeah, that was really tight. Coons is closing in on these guys as they go side by side again. You have to be careful now. You get into turn 3, you see those big tire stacks there. You can't see through each corner from turn 3 to turn 5. You don't see that until you're right through turn 4. So there's a slightly different dynamic from behind the steering wheel here this weekend. Coons has really caught these. He's looking to the inside. That's a bold move.
That's up on his teammate there from the Ricca Autosport camp. It brings Shelby Mills into the conversation too. That's the black and yellow car. That took a look to the inside of Coons a moment ago. Everyone holds station with 29 minutes still on the clock. Lamara leading this battle pack. He holds 4th, but 5th, 6th, and 7th all in tow.
So Coons there with that little bit of fender issue from that bump from Lamara earlier in the race. Up front is still very tight between Lambrose and Castro. Braden and Arthur took about a tenth or two out of that gap to the front in that middle sector there, but he's got some work to do if he's going to get back in position and maybe win this motor race this afternoon.
Side-by-side challenge down this long back straightaway. Coons has the spot. Mills trying to take it away. Now taking a peek to the inside. Meanwhile, this is at the front of the field and someone's off the pace. It looked like momentarily Castro, but he's back on it now.
Look at this. Braden Arthur is suddenly right with these guys. He's over a second behind them, but after that little move in turn 11, which we saw a little bit late, it allows him to close right back in. So I'm not sure if Castro went for a move and both drivers got kind of stymied and balked there coming off the corner, but either way, Arthur's back in the mix.
He'll take it any way he can get it. Trying to stay in the championship hunt, as you chronicled. Closest rival is Castro, who now runs just ahead, and Lambrose would love to be in that championship conversation before it's all said and done. Talked a little bit about the tire wear factor in these races. Traditionally, the four-wheel drive car a little bit easier on tires, getting stronger relative to the opposition as the race goes on.
Yeah, it should be. It should certainly help you if you do get into that tire deck situation. It shouldn't be happening just yet. We're very early in this 35-minute race, but as we get to the last 10 minutes, that's when it matters. Look at Braden Arthur, big run up the hill, gets to the inside of Castro. Castro going to do the crossover here. Can he get side by side? But Braden should have the inside line for turn 2 coming up.
Set that up beautifully. Castro does his best to fight back, but has to settle back into 3rd position. These two that scrapped and clawed and dueled at Sonoma 1 month ago in the season opener, and they found each other on track once again, but in the odd position of chasing someone. They had it all their way by and large at Sonoma, but not so here today, given the great start from Lambrose.
Lambrose had a great start, as he said to Amanda, turn 1 is mine, and he certainly made it stick there around the outside, so that was a bold move. He preconceived what he was going to do there and carried it through, and he's settled in at the front. So he's going to be now, Braden Arthur has gotten around Castro. What sort of lap time does he have to chase down the leader?
Interesting, that report from Amanda talking about Lambrose effectively calling his shot, saying, yep, we made some changes. I think we're going to be strong on turn 1, lap 1, and that's exactly what happened. He grabbed the lead right away and hasn't looked back.
When he does look back, he's going to see that purple machine. That's the Yellow Vision Toyota from JMF with King Arthur behind the wheel. So, and again, with that move around Castro, that means the live as we run championship standings have moved back into the favor of the Toyota driver.
This is interesting. Arthur is getting stronger, it would appear, as we're approaching the 10-minute mark. Remember, not long ago, we were talking about him losing touch with this top group. There's the Skip Barber Racing Brain Trust on the radio with Dean Lambrose, the Stony Brook Seawolf, trying to hang on to the position, but he's got his hands full right now.
So much inspiration of this track design was taken from other Grand Prix circuits. This is turn 8 at Istanbul, the Grand Prix circuit there. This triple apexer, plowed down the hill. Love this rhythm section through here. This is where out of bounds will be called if you carry too much speed through 19 and 20 and get outside of those white lines. You've got to have some part of the race car at least touching that outer white boundary. Incline, this massive incline, 11% incline here, the 133 feet elevation change. Majority of it is right here, that climb up the hill into what becomes a very late braking zone. The car really slowed down quickly, obviously, with that incline there. See all the rubber marks where you kind of light up that inside tire potentially if you lock it up. Braden Arthur said he's got ABS on this Toyota. He gets into it a little bit, but he can't afford to continually use it. Otherwise, the brake temperature's soar. That gets up through the wheel, and that really means that your tire temperatures get too extreme as well. So you've got to manage that throughout the course of these moments in the race where you're battling it out. And these two have escaped from Castro, it looks like.
To my eye, the Corolla looks a lot more planted at this stage in the race. Lambrose looks like he's working awfully hard out in front.
Yeah, it just looks like Braden can really carve the corner a little bit neater than the Acura up front. But either way, Lambrose still has the flow and the momentum through some of these corners to keep the lead at this point. Gets a little proactive late move by Braden Arthur. He's hard on that brakes. He'll be into the ABS right there. Can lose the front end. He does it just like that. He talked about that. If you use it too much, just get that big washout and understeer on the front end, which he got there when he needed it.
Credit as well to Dean, who saw that coming, gave him a wide berth, and then was able to cut back underneath and actually pull out a bit of an advantage. It's brought Castro back into the mix as well. This is the top three. Lambros for Skip Barber Racing in the Acura. Arthur for JMF in the Corolla. Then it's the Rick Autosport driver of Andre Castro in third. Not too far back, about 3.5 seconds further back. Mike Labara still hanging on to that fourth position despite all the pressure he's been under. And it's now Justin Gravitt that is tracking him down, running him the fifth spot. But our eyes are focused here on this fight for the podium positions with Lambros leading Arthur and Castro.
Just getting back to that braking moment that he had there in turn 11. When you dive to the inside like that, he's later on the brakes, obviously, and the ABS will kick in. So as you then start to turn the wheel, it's sensing that you're going to lock up a tire. So how do you prevent that from happening? Well, it's going to take braking force away so that you don't lock up a tire. And that means you're carrying too much speed when you really need to slow it down at apex. You just wash out wide. And this is a lot more basic system than he had on the GT4 car that he campaigned last year for JMF. So he said he's got two settings, wet or dry. The other system I was used to had 10.
Race Vision powered by AWS Circuit Performance, and sectors 1 and 2 belong to the Toyota. Sector 3, by contrast, belongs to the Acura, which is hanging on by the skin of its teeth. There's the challenge once again for Arthur, pulling up alongside, but not close enough to hang around the outside. Lambros able to fend off the challenge for the moment.
Yeah, this is great stuff. It's actually a great visual to see these cars kind of appearing from behind those tire bundles. It's almost like being on a street circuit for 2 or 3 corners. And that sector is mimicked after the Silverstone Grand Prix circuit. Maggots, Beggots, and Chapel that you get into there with those fast-flowing corners.
Track you know well. Is that
yes,
a section you enjoyed?
Changed a lot since I raced there, but yes, certainly loved the Grand Prix circuit there at Silverstone. A lot of great memories.
Also here have a stadium section modeled off of Hockenheim in Germany. You mentioned Istanbul Park, inspiring that lengthy corner sequence late in the lap. Istanbul in the news today. That will be back on the Formula One calendar here soon. I think that's a welcome return. It was a popular place, and maybe that corner in particular as popular as any. Here we go. Challenge is on down the back straightaway. Lambros again on the defensive, forced to go maybe with the side draft here, trying to hang on to the position. Arthur in the brake zone carries it in deep, but Lambros is deeper on the brakes, and he'll have the inside line for this next sequence.
Yeah, great chess match going on in terms of getting that draft down the back straightaway. It looks like the Toyota has got good straightaway speed as well as the draft effect. And Lambros elected to kind of sit the car in the middle of the road. That forced Braden Arthur to the outside, so he didn't have that tight angle of attack on that turn 11 apex, but it didn't quite work out for him. And Castro's suddenly there again. It's anyone's game at this stage of the race.
Now this track last year for Braden Arthur, you mentioned he was racing in GT4 America, finished second in the 3-hour endurance contest. Took him till later in the season to get to victory lane for the first time, and that came in odd circumstances. He wasn't even there. Didn't even drive the car and got credited with a win. That's another story for another day. Did get a proper victory later in the season. Yeah, exactly so.
Great way to finish.
We'll keep an eye on this here as Arthur looks outside, now to the inside. This could be the moment. Coming up the hill now, he's got a half a car width out in front. Braden Arthur to the apex. Can he clear the Acura? Runs him out wide once again. That could leave Lambros vulnerable here, perhaps to Castro, but more importantly, it is Arthur to the points.
Yeah, I think significantly, unlike turn 1 of the motor race, I think Lambros wasn't quite alongside Braden as they got to the apex. You start to tip it into the decline down the hill towards turn 2, so that gave him the room, and also Lambros was out in the dust a little bit deeper than he was the previous time.
JMF crew will like to see that. 19 minutes, 29 seconds on the clock. Let's take the chance to head back down to the pits and Amanda.
You talked about that purple Corolla out there with the Cielo Vision. livery. You were saying just the impact that they're having this season. Well, prior to this race, Braden Arthur was given a garage tour to the Cielo Vision group that's here. He said there was about 10 of them, but you think about all the stuff that this kid does. On Sunday, we'll see him on the fire bottle duty for the GT3 team for JMF Motorsports. But talking to Braden ahead of this race, he said that he was happy to see 3 different manufacturers battling it out here up the front. He said that we're good across the board. Is that what we just saw there, guys?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, as car seems to be good all the way around the race circuit. He obviously lost a little bit of track position there early when Castro pounced, and I thought he was in trouble, but suddenly those two got battling up front. He was right with them and went back to the front. So seems like the car, there is an ebb and flow to it. Seems like the Integra is pretty good in certain parts of the racetrack, but I think Braden will be happy with his track position right now, but still a long way to go in this motor race. We're just coming up on the halfway point.
Significantly, though, he does have the fastest lap of the race. That sets the grid for race 2 tomorrow, so he would provisionally be on pole position for that second race.
Castro might have just nipped him there.
Apologies, you're right.
25.6 for a 25.9. So right now Castro sits P3 as the fastest lap of this race.
Arthur did just do the best middle sector on this lap, though. So he'll be trying to take that back.
It's got to be on your radar. You have to be thinking about that. If you get out front here and the tires are still good, you may want to use them up a little bit if it could grab you pole position and be able to dictate the race start tomorrow.
Wasn't quick enough on that lap, although he had his best middle and final sectors to do anything about that fast time from Castro. Those are the only 2 drivers to dip into the 225s in this race. Lambros in second, his best lap at 226.1. That would be easily quick enough for the inside of the second row. Meanwhile, battle here between a couple of Acuras, and it's Mike Lamara who has slipped back to 5th and into the clutches of Logan Anderson now.
Anderson's having a really good run. That little battle from like 4th on back. Next 4 cars there. I mean, they're all within a 10th or 2 of each other in terms of fast lap for this motor race, so they're very evenly matched, and it's a fierce battle throughout this field. That's what's really cool about the season, is that we got battles up front and mid-pack. There's action everywhere you look right now.
Anderson debuted at Sonoma, results of 9th and 10th, so this would be a career best, even if he just holds station in 6th, but he's sniffing at potentially a first career top 5, up against the veteran Mike Lamara, who's driven so many different cars over the years, different championships. He's found a home with Precision Racing LA. That's the blue Acura that currently holds the 5th spot ahead of Logan Anderson.
Big run down here. Is a kilometer in length, about 0.62 of a mile from the exit of turn 11 all the way down to turn 12. Whoa, ball moved down to the inside there by Anderson, but manages to get it slowed down at apex and makes it stick. That was nicely judged.
Other driver that came through the Skip Barber program, first the schools into the racing series. He slides wide here. That opens the door for Lamara, but the track comes back to Anderson. Lamara lunges, getting a little closer under braking, but not close enough to make a move or to threaten. Now the track bends back to the right, a little bit downhill as well. Right now, it looks like Anderson's got that position pretty well, firmly in grasp.
Yeah, he really controlled that nicely. It's so easy to open up the door in turn 15, but he just slowed it down through 14 to make sure he's nice and tight and tidy through there. He wants to just make this stick and see if he can escape the clutches here for Lamara and lay down a few really neat and tidy corners to get the gap, and then he can just focus on his own racing line once again.
Logan's story probably inspirational to many that go and spend their evenings at the local karting track, indoor karting. That's where he got his start, just fell in love with the sport, going to the indoor kart circuit. That transitioned into sim racing. Opportunity opened up to go through the Skip Barber school. Next thing you know, he's here racing at the pro level in TC America.
I think that's what's great about the TC class. It's entry level certainly, but it allows the budgets to be at a number that some people can put together, and it's so competitive that you learn very, very quickly if you're able to make that move.
Taking a peek here at a couple Rick Autosport teammates making their season debuts. CJ Sepulveda, the Liqui-Moly car, and just behind is PJ Gronke with his manifold sponsorship. So many small contributions that make his racing possible. CJ, as Amanda mentioned, was racing at the ring last weekend in a Hyundai. He's part of their program to some degree. In fact, one of his co-drivers at the ring was Gyumin Kim, who was really strong here in this series 1 year ago. And would love to see one of the Korean nation's best touring car drivers back stateside again if given the opportunity.
Yeah, it was great to see Jeff Ricker put so many drivers through his cars last year, giving them the opportunity to shine like Kim. Boy, did he perform at a high level when he was here.
Fight once again breaking out here, and it's Labara going back around Anderson this time. So that was short-lived as it turned out. Job by Mike to get back in his rhythm. Found an opening and took advantage.
Coons there still got that left front body damage that he's having to deal with. I'm not sure if that's slowing him down any on the straightaway. Gets a little bit wide there through 15. Not sure if he got into the ABS there or not, but just needs to keep that nice and tidy. Said, I love this corner, the way it flows down. Reminds me of that run at Le Mans after Indianapolis when you come down through that section. Beautiful flow and rhythm to that.
Here comes Anderson on the counter attack. This is into turn 20. Fame to the inside, comes back to the outside. Scoots awfully wide up and over the curbs there on corner exit. Now has to settle back in line, but does so with Eric Coons starting to close in a little bit. Coons immediately pops out of line. I wonder if there might be a cooling issue, especially with the damage on that car, given the heat. And I mean, it looked like he immediately was searching for some clean air.
Yeah, I saw him doing that really early in the race, so you're right, maybe the bodywork damage has sort of stymied some of the airflow to the radiator, but even so, I think these conditions are extreme, so you want to keep it in that sweet spot. Maybe he's seeing numbers he's not totally happy with, so he's trying to be a bit conservative and proactive on that.
Temperatures just shy of 90 degrees Fahrenheit in the air when the green flag flew on this race. Immediately in the tight stuff, Coons is right back in the mix, and he throws it up the inside. That was really well judged. Grabs the position away.
Yeah, it's a great thing about this racetrack. Gives you plenty of landscape to work with through these high-speed S's for these touring cars. Multiple lines through here. He defends down the middle of the road. A few bumps that you can see where the tires kind of skip across the racing surface there. Load and unload there. And this is the dyno run. This is the big stretch.
This might be where the Hyundai has looked a bit vulnerable. Maybe Coons in particular, with potential cooling issues given the damage on that car. Anderson gets a nice run down the straightaway. Room between the two of them. Coons super late on the brakes though, able to roll around the outside. He might just be able to hang on to that spot.
Yeah, it looked like Anderson was a little bit conservative with his braking points. Sometimes when you're off the normal racing line, you don't have kind of your perspective and your braking points. He seemed like he just braked a little bit early, and that allowed Coons to brake a little bit deeper and throw it around the outside.
There's more than a car's width between the two of them as well. Can you lose track of the other car when there's a big separation like that?
Yeah, you certainly can. You just kind of lose them out your peripheral vision there, and you're just quite not sure. You're in kind of a bit of no man's land. You don't want to overcommit to the corner, and suddenly he found himself not carrying the speed into the corner and got past.
Let's check in with Shelby Mills now. Fawn Group Motorsports on the side of that Hyundai. Black with the yellow trim. Saw Shelby for a limited schedule a year ago. Just raced the two races at Road America, 4th and 5th in those two. And he's got a bird's eye view of the fight just ahead of him once again with Coons and Anderson. Anderson edges ahead down the front straightaway. Again, Coons goes out super wide to have a better entry to the corner up in turn 1. And it's good enough to hang on to the spot. Damage now maybe on both cars.
Yeah, again, just see the tail literally hanging off the end of Anderson's car now. But yeah, it just seems like Anderson being in the middle of the road is not really hitting his braking point exactly where it needs to be, and it's allowing Coons to make that late braking move around the outside and making it stick. But it's also allowed Lamara just to take off here a little bit. Pressure is not on Mike right now for that P5 position.
Yeah, he has disappeared into the distance, that's for sure. Lamara A couple seconds up the road of this battle. Coons now with 6th position. Anderson settling into 7th place. This is actually the track that he first drove at the Skip Barber School in their Formula 4 program, right here at Circuit of the Americas. So a bit of a full circle moment for Logan.
Big drafting effect here going down this back straightaway. Just punch a hole in the air. And you just want to time it, just bleed out, just faint outside. Don't suddenly get a big rush of air on the nose, just kind of fan out gently. Anderson again there. Coons just able to take in a little bit deeper into that brake zone.
Now here comes Mills on the attack, looking to the inside of Anderson. He's fully alongside here at the entry to this tight, twisty section, and he grabs the spot, so up to 7th place now.
Anderson tries to come back at him, tucks down the inside. This is going to be close. Just escape contact. Not going to get a great run off here. Sepulveda's going to get a run there in the 78 Hyundai as well. So Anderson has been in some racing battles here this afternoon. Have a smile on his face. Now he tries a very unorthodox move down to the inside of turn 19, eats the curb up a little bit, doesn't have a great exit speed. CJ's got a run here. Does he try and send it down to the inside? Yes, he does. Gives it up again. Look how tight it is there with Anderson on Mills.
On PJ Gronke also in the conversation here. It's a two-wide situation behind. Anderson holds off Mills. Gronke's the one with the run. He's to the inside of Sepulveda, and he might have a nose alongside of Mills too. Here they come into turn number 1. Gronke keeps it nice and tight down to apex. Mills holds him off, and Sepulveda tries to fight back around the outside, but I'm not sure he's going to do it. The Canadian, PJ Gronke, up a spot.
Yeah, Mills did a nice job there as well as managing that scenario. It looked like Gronke was going to send it up the inside, but Mills hit his braking point absolutely perfectly and got to the apex.
Oh, here comes Sepulveda back, though. Wow!
That was really close. Really close, and if they'd touched right there, one of them would have been for a ride.
Now CJ backed out of that one. No sense making contact with the teammate. CJ and PJ fighting for 9th and 10th positions, but now, again, it's PJ Gronke charging up, closing in on Mills, who in turn looks to the inside of Anderson once again. Anderson sees him coming and leaves plenty of room. Now, can he get the drag out of that tight corner and hang on to the spot? Yes, he can.
PJ's got to have a big smile on his face. He missed the opening rounds at Sonoma. Great to be back, and he's immediately found a great race to cut his teeth once again here for his 2026 campaign.
Two-time class champion in TC America, the now defunct TCB and TCA classes. Coincidentally, won the championship in the last year of both of those rule sets.
Yeah, CJ was really deep on the brakes there, just in the back door. I think that cost him time ultimately, but he nearly ran over the top of PJ there into the apex of turn 12.
Well, for many of these drivers, this is a first step into pro racing, and to find yourself in the midst of a fierce battle like this, different makes and models of cars with different strengths and weaknesses. This is such a good proving ground and training ground, and we've seen drivers come out of the TC ranks and make it all the way up to become race winners in the GT3 level within the paddock.
I was talking to Braden Arthur about the fact that all of the manufacturers obviously have slightly different gear ratios, and get around a complex circuit like this, you'll have a manufacturer that looks like they're much stronger. It's just that gear ratio, whether a second or third gear, for example, going through a tight corner, is ideally suited to that brand and not another. You have another corner that maybe rolling speed is 5-10 miles an hour different. That'll suit the other car. So there's a real ebb and flow to when you're in the sweet spot with the torque coming off these corners.
Anticipate this lap and 2 more still to go with 5 minutes on the clock.
And this is about the time in the race where if there hasn't been any tire degradation, it's going to start to show its face right now. So for Braden Arthur, he's got a really comfortable lead now, up to almost 2 seconds over Lambrose. He's done a fantastic job here. Castro has faded back a further 2 seconds, so he'll be a bit disappointed with that, and obviously lose 10 points in the championship chase as well to Braden Arthur, who came into this weekend tied with.
To answer the question about performance drop-off as the tires start to wear, we're seeing the front runners now about a half a second to 3/4 of a second off of their fastest times in the session. So there is some of that tire wear as we get deeper into the run, as expected. And again, perhaps as expected, the four-wheel drive of the Corolla maybe a bit easier on the Pirellis than some of the opposition.
Castro still holds that fastest lap. As you said, the lap times are not really close to what we saw about 10 minutes ago. So that 225.68 is still the fastest lap of this race. Braden Arthur about 3/10 off that, and I can't imagine he's going to find that sort of pace with a couple of laps to go here to sneak that pole position back. So Castro may have to go to sleep tonight thinking, well, I lost the championship lead, but I'll hold the point tomorrow when we have another crack at it.
Looking at the New Yorker, Andre Castro, Fortune racer. This would be a third consecutive podium to start the season if he were able to hang on, and it looks like he should be able to do so. Let's take the opportunity to check in with Amanda once more in the Gin Racer pits.
I was talking to Jeff Rica earlier in the media center, and he just said that Andre Castro was on cloud 9 after that Sonoma opening, where he had a back-to-back podium and one on the top set with that win in race number 2. Jeff said that we should have Andre the rest of the season, hopefully, that he is good until Road Atlanta, at least at this point, but also competing in that Hyundai Trophy Cup this season, guys.
And the championship within a championship, recognizing top performers in Hyundai equipment within TC America at select rounds of the season. Andre, just one of those guys, you get the sense he needs that big break, and maybe this is the one that helps to put him on the map. Has had some impressive runs at times, finishing on the podium in the Formula Ford Festival back in 2021, perhaps most notably. But just looking for that opportunity that can propel him to the next level. Meanwhile, only BMW in the field, and it's Robert Bellevue. New paint scheme here this weekend. Team boss Chris Valdez and Robert's wife helped come up with the design. They credited his wife with the swoopy nature of the paint scheme. And Robert also told me he's carrying number 53 because he ran the first race of his career at age 53. That's been a while now, but he got to this late, it's safe to say, and he's just having a ball racing modern cars for the first time after a lot of experience in vintage racing.
Yeah, I think he's thoroughly enjoying the experience. He recognizes that he's not going to compete with some of these young firecracker talent up front, but he's just enjoying the class, loves that BMW. Hope to see more of those down the road as well, joining the championship. But he's keeping his nose clean. He still doesn't have a rear wing on that car.
It's supposed to be coming at some point. This was a few moments ago. Coons battling with Lamara, throws it in deep around the outside off into the dust. You can see, whoa, just how dirty it is out there and very nearly coming together.
It's going on every corner of this racetrack now. They're fighting it tooth and nail for these final positions with just over a minute left on the clock.
Amanda did confirm there are some overheating issues that Coons is trying to deal with here. Only has to manage it for this lap and one more. But not just manage that, also fend off the challenge from Anderson, who suddenly is back on an aggressive footing for the first time in a while. Meanwhile, here comes Arthur through turn 20. You'll see the white flag as he crosses the control line. One lap to go at Circuit of the Americas.
Yeah, really nice race for Braden. Consolidate that championship lead at the end of today. Look vulnerable. Oh, there's issues. Oh, broken front suspension on Gronke.
Is he able to get to the pit lane? Yes, he is. Heads up driving from the veteran. But there are some pretty significant curbs around this track, and you wonder if you caught one the wrong way. Maybe that could be the culprit. But tough to see that for PJ, who was having a lot of fun in his return to the championship. Meanwhile, Coons and Anderson still battling it out for one more lap here at COTA.
Anderson's touched every part of this racetrack here today with a variety of lines that he's had to defend with and attack with around this 20-turn race circuit. He's had a lot of fun, and Coons is trying to protect those overheating issues at the same time as being in the thick of a battle. That's a tough story to have.
Yeah, he's done well with it, all things considered here today. Great to have Eric back for another year in the series. A lot of success in Canadian touring cars north of the border, problems here. This is CJ Sepulveda, also ends up off track. That's through the S's. He was running down in 9th, so I don't think he's going to lose any positions here. But something goes amiss on the final lap. Luckily not any contact. He's able to continue on.
He was about a second and a half back of Mills, so I can't imagine that was for a pass that got him into that trouble, whether he just lost it just trying to go on the attack here with 1 lap to go.
Here comes this battle down the long back straightaway, 1 kilometer in length, as Calvin mentioned earlier. Coons doesn't go on the defensive, leaves the door open for Anderson, who tucks back in line. Anderson maybe not quite as comfortable going deep on the brakes as some of his competitors here at this stage.
Not sure if that's car related or just driver related there. He often finds himself in the middle of the road, which, as we've mentioned, sometimes they're hard to get your bearing and know exactly how late you can brake. Some people like to really use a hard marker on the side of the racetrack as to where you get on that middle pedal. Meanwhile, up front,
Braden Arthur had to fight for this one. Started on pole, got shuffled back as far as 3rd, but drove back up through the field to take his 2nd win of the season. Braden Arthur has finished no worse than 2nd in 3 starts to begin his TC America career, and now takes the championship lead into the 4th race of the season. Lambros, his best result of the year, comes home in 2nd. Castro completes the podium in 3rd, then Gravett, Lamara, drag race to the line, and Coons just ahead of Anderson at the stripe.
yeah, that was tight, just half a tenth there between them at the end.
Those two will have a lot of smiles, swapping war stories about their battles on track today. But the man of the hour is Braden Arthur, and I don't think we should overstate I don't think we can overstate the challenge coming out of GT4 racing a year ago into something totally different like this touring car. And yet, from day one, he's been right on the pace.
Well, talent is talent. I mean, obviously, he's had to adapt to the lower horsepower configuration of a TC machine, all-wheel drive, of course, but he's a really talented young man. Great to see him get this opportunity with JMF when they curtailed their GT4 program. They said, well, we've got some TC cars if you're interested. And he obviously took that opportunity and has run with it. So, love to put together a championship season, but there's some tough competition out there as well, as we saw here today.
Here comes Robert Bellevue to take the checkered flag as well. And as mentioned, just having a lot of fun driving a modern race car after so many years racing vintage cars. He told me the thing he likes the best about it, maybe especially today, the air conditioning.
You need it today.
Yes. It is toasty, that's for sure. So the Lone Star flag of Texas flying above Circuit of the Americas. Let's look at the provisional race results pending post-race tech, of course. Braden Arthur by 3.4 seconds over Dean Lambros. Lambros, though, controlled the opening half of the race, called his shot, very aggressive off the start, but took the lead. Ultimately couldn't hold off Arthur in the second half of the race. Castro another podium result, but loses some ground in the championship chase. Gravett a quiet race to 4th, just ahead of Lamara, Coons, Anderson, Mills, Sepulveda, and Bellevue the top 10. PJ Gronke did not see the checkered flag on track with suspension damage with 1 lap to go. And Jesse Dorkin, hope to see him in race 2 tomorrow, but that car with a mechanical issue earlier in the weekend. Spare parts are en route and should be ready for Saturday.
Tell you, it was impressive. Braden Arthur laid down a lap with a couple laps to go and got within half a tenth of Castro's fast lap. So he still had some pace there in that Toyota. Laid down some really quick laps there at the end in the search for that fast lap and pole for tomorrow. But he'll line up on the outside of the grid. The top 3 who finished here today will be in a different order. Will be the top 3 starting the race tomorrow morning.
Love to see that. Spices things up a little bit, and we saw a little bit of that at Sonoma too. Here, though, we saw the way that this track lends itself to touring car racing. You have some long straightaways where the draft comes into play. That stadium section in particular, where it just bends left, right, and you can cross one another over. time and time again. We've had some really compelling racing there over the years, and today was no exception.
Yeah, it's a real conundrum there as a driver, what to do. You protect in one spot, you leave yourself open in another. So, and if you start to defend too vigorously, you suddenly got no acceleration coming off some of those low-speed corners. So it's a real chess match and fun to watch.
The car has arrived in victory circle, and you can hear him chuckling with delight under the helmet. You can almost hear the smile as well for Braden Arthur. Cielo Vision coming on board here this weekend. New livery in conjunction with that brand new partnership, which is comprehensive for the JMF team. It helps them out as well in the GT World Challenge size of things. And there's John Farrow, the J&F in JMF Motorsports, there to congratulate his young driver. Hat is on, which means we can hear from our race winner now with Amanda.
Way to go, buddy.
Well, I think one of the things that I love for the first race of the weekend here at the Cielo Vision GT World Texas event, Braden Arthur gets the win, but I know you sat there and watched you lose that position in the #1 spot, but you reeled him back in. How long did you plan it?
Quite a few laps. I mean, I could see, kind of where he was getting strong and where he was getting weak, and where I was stronger, where he was weaker, but also Castro behind me was right there, and he also eventually got around me. So, for a while there, I was just planning and plotting and waited for my tires to cool off, my brakes to cool off a little bit more, then tried to make my moves, and I did, and just managed from there. It was not easy. These guys are awesome. These good drivers.
You said they were going to come for you.
I did. Thank you.
Well, as we move on to Dean Lambros, we're going to go back to the start of that race. And Dean, you told me right before you left pit lane that you guys made some adjustments, and turn 1, you went right for it.
I mean, it's all we got. So, Gabby and all the guys, Skip Barber Racing Team, did a phenomenal job. We went to Tech twice before the race. We, threw everything in the kitchen sink at it to beat the Toyota. So I'm very proud of our team, and I'm excited for tomorrow. And we'll see where it takes off from there.
Was there anything left?
No, absolutely nothing left at all.
All right, well, we'll see what happens in race number 2, guys. It is extremely hot down here, as you can see the guys, as we head over to Andre Castro, who will start on pole in race number 2. And Andre, did you know you had the fastest lap?
I did, yeah. I asked my car chief, Liam, a couple laps from the end, and it's good to have that again, just like Sonoma. So, just happy to get the Hyundai and Trophy Cup underway. Like, it's a huge deal for Hyundai to be out here supporting all of us, and yeah, really happy to be here.
How can you capitalize on that tomorrow?
Well, just going as fast as I can, I guess. I think it'll be cooler a bit, so maybe that'll help us. I'm not really sure. It's tough to say. It was just so hot out there today, and so we'll see how it affects the different cars and their performance tomorrow. But it's the best place to be starting from. So and obviously happy to bank some points with the third today and in TC overall. So yeah, good day.
Enjoy seeing that green flag tomorrow.
Yeah, thank you.
Well, at Sonoma Raceway, he had the fastest lap in race 1. That put him on pole for race 2, a race he went on to win. So Andre Castro in good stead heading to tomorrow. Race 1 of the weekend for TC America, powered by Skip Barber at Circuit of the Americas in the Texas heat. Field rolling out to see the green flag and a charge up the hill right away. What a move from Dean Lambros to get to the flank of the pole sitter. Braden Arthur grabbed that top spot away. Arthur shuffled back to 3rd at one point, had to charge his way back up through the field, got around Castro a little bit later in the race, and then set off in pursuit of Lambros. It took a couple of attempts, but ultimately he got to the inside in the run to turn 1. Lambros goes wide and to the lead for Arthur, the pole sitter, a lead he would not relinquish. The battles were fierce further back, several cars showing some battle scars, including the Logan Anderson machine, which had its back bumper flapping around behind it for the better part of the race, but it never fell off, and we stayed clean and green. Close call here. Eric Coons and Mike Lamar nearly coming together, both cars able to continue on. Problems, however, for the returning veteran, PJ Gronke. He was out with a lap still to go. At the end of the day, Braden Arthur took the victory by 3.4 seconds in race 1 at COTA. Championship positions after 3 races this season. Braden Arthur by 10 points now over Andre Castro. Dean Lambros sits in 3rd, Gravett and Coons 4th and 5th. That's it for race number 1 of the weekend here at Circuit of the Americas.